So he didn't mean to destroy magic. He just thought that he could save everyone. We've all had a main character moment too, but this one ended up with a dead goddess. Today, we are diving into the lore of Karsus, the man who broke magic. Hi friends, I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom, and this is Lashes and Lore, where the eyeliner is sharp, the lore is messy, and apparently so are the consequences of hubris. And if you're wondering what sorcery is going to be holding this look together today, everything that I am using while we talk about this hot mess of a man is listed down below, just in case you want to look fabulous while you're questioning all of your life choices. Because, we're here for the story. The makeup just keeps my hands busy. Because you don't want me going way off topic. I don't want that either. Like right now. Okay, let's talk about ambition on autopilot. Picture a civilization so high on magic that it literally left the ground. That's Netheril. Netheril is the empire of flying cities, floating citadels, and wizards who treated spell levels like social status. And if you weren't rewriting reality by breakfast, you were just average. So this was the golden age of mortal arrogance. Archmages called themselves Arcanists, and the Weave, Mystra's divine network that powers all magic, was their playground. They built myth hallers to keep cities aloft, crafted spells beyond mortal understanding, and believed nothing was out of reach. But hubris has an expiration date. You see, the Weave had rules, and like every great civilization ever, Netheril's brightest minds decided rules were for other people. Enter Karsus, a prodigy of sorts who looked at an empire running out of magical fuel and thought, I alone can fix this. Because yeah, that's how that works. Oh yeah, I have red hair now. I didn't address that in the beginning because, quite frankly, I forgot. I had red hair for many, many years, and the black was the least amount of time I've ever had black. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Thanks for sticking around. Anyway, so Karsus looked at all of this and says, I alone can fix this. He wasn't evil. He was a gifted kid who never learned how to fail. Karsus grew up watching the skies dim as Netheril's power faltered, spells were fading, myth hallers flickered, and people were panicking. And in that panic, he decided to become the world's hero. Because in Netheril, that is what you do. If you didn't have a floating tower by 30, you were a disappointment. I'll let you sit with that PTSD, thank you. Saving the world wasn't noble. It was a performance review. They didn't fall because of magic. It fell because it turned salvation into a competition, which is where we come to the spell that just should not exist. Karsus began designing a 12th level, world-shattering, reality-defining piece of cosmic nonsense. The first and the last of its kind. So it's a doozy then, because when it's the first and the last, that means it shouldn't have existed in the first place and it broke everything. So, spoiler. Stick around to find out how. Anyway, okay. And the name of such spell, well, he called it Karsus's avatar, because of course he did. The idea was brilliant, but in the worst possible way ever. He would seize the power of a god and take control of the Weave himself and, stabilize magic forever, right? That was his plan. He was going to do that. Yeah, he was a bold one. And no joke, I think he truly thought that he would be a benevolent backup system, a mortal version of Mystra, giving the lady a little hand. Maybe she doesn't need it though. Okay, Karsus? All right. Heroic intent? Absolutely. I really do think so. Critical thinking though. No, there's zero of that here. None of that. That was absent completely. You want to know the most tragic part of this? Everyone let him. They knew about this plan, and they let him do it. Because when you're the smartest person in the Empire, no one really gets to tell you no. He gathered his components that were worth nations. He stood atop of his spire and he cast the uncastable. And for a few breathtaking seconds, it actually worked. Karsus became a god. The weave flooded through him like a star that was going supernova, and every wizard in Netheril felt it. Spells crackled, power surged, and then everything went silent because mortals weren't built for omniscience. Imagine, that's not the right lash glue, here it is. Imagine trying to download the entire multiverse into a human brain, the finite human brain. This was being handled by a god before, and now it's going up into just some guy, right? I don't care how smart he is. That's not going to happen, and that's not going to go well. And I get people not stopping him because, he's the smart guy or whatever. But, and I've talked so much about how Mystra's died and the weave is broken on this channel that you already know what's coming. So, here we go. All right. He didn't go mad. He went offline. Like, the system couldn't handle the updates, and every spell was completely unraveled. Yeah. And every floating city lost flight. They're just crashing, falling to the ground now. I mean, he basically set off an EMP for magic, and everything was crashing. Long, pretty nails, but you sure do stab your eyeballs when you're putting on lashes. Good grief. Anyways, so Netheril, every floating city lost its lift. They were crashing to the ground. And as Netheril's pride plummeted towards the earth, so did its savior. I know I've talked about Mystra on this channel several times, but I mean, she's kind of a big deal. And we can't talk about Karsus without talking about Mystra. So let's talk about Mystra. Or rather, Mystryl, the first incarnation of the goddess of magic. She watched as Karsus seized her power and felt the weave tearing apart at the seams. And instead of vengeance, she chose self-sacrifice. She cut herself off from the weave, completely deleted herself from existence. And you say, well, why? Why, Betty? Why would she do that? Well, in order to reboot reality before it collapsed completely, she had to do that. The moment that she vanished, Karsus lost everything. The divine power slipped away and he turned into stone. Like literally frozen in mid-ascension. Forever a monument to his own mistake, his own ambition. His city fell. The weave rebooted, and Mystryl was reborn as Mystra. Mystra did not kill Karsus. She saved everyone else from him. And when she came back, she implemented something every software engineer or mom will appreciate: version control. She rewrote the rules of magic. So, no mortal spell is higher than 9th level ever again. Karsus's avatar was banned, sealed, and buried somewhere never to be found again. Magic. Now, let me set this under eye before I end up with like massive creases. Right, okay, we went heavy with the concealer because we didn't sleep last night. Moving forward. So right, Karsus's avatar, banned, sealed, and buried away. Never to be used, found, thought of, or considered ever again. Magic now came with divine oversight because Faerun learned that mortals do not need infinite power. They need infinite supervision. The fall of Netheril wasn't a single crash. It was a centuries-long trauma. Survivors, they fled underground or to different planes. The few cities that didn't crumble became legends, like Shade Enclave that vanished into the Shadowfell for 1,000 years. And Karsus, well, he became a cautionary tale. The petrified giant of his corpse, known as Karsus's heart, still stands. It's crimson stone, pulsing faintly with residual magic. And some scholars say that it is alive. And others say it's dreaming. But everyone agrees, do not poke it. Because, of course, people have poked it. Cultists tried to resurrect Karsus, convinced that he was misunderstood. Wizards hunted for lost Netherese spell books, whispering that the secret to the true 10th level spell still awaits to be discovered. And every few centuries, someone decides that they can succeed where everyone else has failed. And I know that you're intelligent here, so you already know, and this is probably not a spoiler for you, they can't. Karsus wasn't some kind of outlier. He was a prototype. But, the pattern repeats. Faerun never learns. Every age rebirths another would-be God rewriting reality. Saztam, Hollister, the mad archmages of Halrua, and even Elminster in his more chaotic moods. All of them are chasing that same forbidden spark that Karsus was able to actually reach. And every time, the weave pushes back. Mystra's ban isn't a punishment, it's a firewall meant to protect both sides. The world remembers the crash. If the spell plague taught us anything, it's that when the mortals start editing divine code, things explode, like every single time. The tragedy of Karsus isn't that he failed. It's that everyone after him thinks that they can do it better. It's the same story, just reskinned every few centuries. And power without reflection and ambition without humility is a cautionary tale written in 10th level glitter. Let's humanize Karsus for a minute, because Karsus was not evil. He was desperate. He saw a dying world and couldn't bear to watch it crumble. He did what heroes do. He acted. He just never stopped to ask if he should. He is the original I can fix her energy, except her was the weave, and she was fine until he got involved. And that is the beauty and the horror of the realms. Even the most brilliant minds are still humanoid. They love, they fear, they make mistakes. You can love something deeply and still ruin it while you're trying to save it. Let that one hit you where it counts. Right. But that's what makes Karsus so haunting. He didn't destroy magic out of malice. He destroyed it out of love. He was trying to do something right. So much glitter. And you know what? Even now, Netheril's ruins are among the most dangerous places in all of the Forgotten Realms. Their artifacts hum with residual magic, Mythaller's whisper, ancient code, and the weave still trembles where those cities once touched the sky. Some even say that the key to true 10th level magic lies in the Karsustone. I don't know how to say it. A relic that's carved from his petrified heart. Others think that Mystra keeps that knowledge locked away, just in case the realms forget what happens when a mortal gets too curious. And you know what? They always do. Because in D&D, curiosity always outweighs caution. And we love it for that. Someone will always try again. And that's okay, because that's what we love. And here we have our final look. A sucker for a green eyeshadow with red hair. So, yeah. But remember, the next time that you are tempted to cast something experimental in your game of D&D, Remember Karsus, the man who wanted to save everyone, but ended up deleting the sky instead. So he is a warning, a legend, and proof that the line between genius and disaster is only one spell wide. And speaking of disasters, if you've just not had enough of my unhinged D&D deep dives, then you should check out this video right here. Make sure that you join my free Patreon so we can stay in touch throughout the week as well. I'm Betty Rage, your favorite nerdy goth mom, and this was Lashes and Lore, where the lore is deep, the eyeliner is deeper, and we are all just trying to survive the vibe. Be good to each other, love each other, and as always, free mom hugs from me to you. Bye. I'll see you next time.